Welcome to What It Takes to Build a Portfolio Career. This is the first event of 2024 in the What It Takes Alumni event series, organised by our Alumni Relations team, and one of them is at the back there, David. Give us a wave. My name is Solon Sohal. I'm at one of the team that works at the university. I'm the Senior Mentoring Officer for the Career Mentoring Programme. That offers one-to-one mentoring for graduates and students. As a student, you get the chance to meet a mentor for 6 weeks or 6 months or 3 months. But even as a graduate, you get 3 years of support with mentoring as well. So that's one to keep in mind. So just a bit of housekeeping. This event is being recorded. A recording will be available on the Alumni YouTube channel within the next few weeks. If you hear the fire alarm, gather possessions within reach and leave calmly by the nearest safe exit, which is just there or there. The assembly point is on Middleton Place, which is at the opposite side of the building to the main entrance. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you to our alumni speaker for the evening, Rituja Rao, who will be sharing her insights on what it takes to build a portfolio career. Rituja is an award-winning delivery manager, industry speaker, and emerging thought leader. Currently, she's at Deliveroo, delivering exciting new products and leading global partner integrations. Rituja graduated from Westminster with a BA in journalism in 2018. So in a moment, Rituja will start her talk. There will be time for questions and answers at the end, and we'll then follow with a networking session, which will be around 8 o'clock. So, leave it to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for deciding to spend a Tuesday evening with us. I know you could be doing lots of amazing things. London is our campus, after all. So thank you so much for choosing to spend this evening with me. It's lovely to see so many of you. I think I've been doing a What It Takes talk for at least four years now. So this is the most attendees I've had. So thank you so much for turning up. This is going to be super casual, okay? I'm somebody who graduated 5 years ago, so I think I've been in exactly the shoes you're in right now. In fact, I don't think I missed a single What It Takes when I was in my undergrad here at Westminster, because it's something that's been running for a while. So for me, coming to one of these events is like a little bit of a cheat code in life, right? You're hearing about somebody's experience, and maybe it clicks, it connects, and maybe there's a little bit of you that you see in this person who's here to talk to you, right? So, is this your first What It Takes event? If it is, put your hand up. Has somebody been here twice? Fantastic. Thrice? 3 events? No? Well, I'm glad. Maybe you will go after this one. Who knows? So thank you so much again. If some of you saw this title, it was really attractive. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be talking about how to get rich real quick. I mean, you can get rich real quick following some of this, but it's not like a shortcut. Because whenever I have Googled in my life how to have multiple income streams, or like how to make more money quickly, it's always like, oh, fill out these surveys, right? And you can exchange your time as a mystery shopper. Anybody else found these things previously? Good, I love that. We all think the same way. So I started there, right, when I was a student. When I was a student, oh my God. I did everything that the university offered, number one. I was a part of 5 clubs. A bit crazy, to be honest. I had a part-time job at all times. I was in uni for 3 years. I had a job through and through. Like every day that I was a student, I was also working. I had 7 internships in 3 years with my part-time job. Crazy, right? So, what I wanted to tell you is that I am somebody who is trying to get rich quick. That's just who I am. I accept it. It's a part of my personality. But in reality, I realized over time that I think I'm chasing like experiences, like something, try to find what I like and then hope that that clicks and that becomes a part of my portfolio, which is what brings us here today. So for the next 45 minutes, because I want to leave lots and lots of time for questions, I'm just going to be talking a little bit about me and my portfolio career. Apologies if it sounds boastful. But that's the only way I'm going to get my story across. And I'm not going to lie to you, I love my story, but what I love more about it is being able to tell you that. Because when I was a student, I just wanted people to tell me everything about their career. Like I've shadowed people, I want to know the little things, not the big things. Because the big things are there in books, they're in these really cool reels that come across. I want to know the tiny things, like what do you do? Like, when you're in the shower, what are you thinking about, right? Like, what's that little thing you did that was a bit different? And that's what you'll get out of my talk today. I'm not somebody who is very, very successful already, like, my portfolio career doesn't bring in like 7 figures at the moment, or anything like that. Like, I'm not somebody you'll Google and be like, she's so cool. And that's okay. That's the beauty of this, right? To connect with the people who are currently on the journey, because if you go to the next slide, this is who I am. I'm obsessed with my career, and I'm obsessed with yours. My friends just walked in. Hello. For me, this is kind of the purpose of my life, and I encourage you to find the purpose for yours. But for me, careers are your legacy, right? Your life story. And I don't see a career as a job at all. I wouldn't be talking about portfolio careers if I did. So for me, that's what I'm here for. So hopefully I can share some of that with you today. If we go to the next one, this is our plan for the next 45 minutes. We're just going to answer the what, the why, and the how. That's it. We'll keep it super simple. I will talk about some income streams, but really I'm going to talk about how to think like you constantly have multiple careers. How to move like you have multiple careers. How to sell yourself as somebody who just doesn't have a job title, right? You are you. And when somebody works with you, they work with all of you. You're a whole package, and you bring so many things to the table that a single job title just can't cover it. If we go to the next one, what is a portfolio career? Have you ever found somebody's LinkedIn and seen they say, I work here, I'm an author, I'm a presenter, I'm a traveler, I'm a content creator, everything's just in the bio. It's very hip right now, I love it. I love it for us, I love it for everybody. But that's exactly what a portfolio career is, right? You're doing multiple different things, you have multiple avenues of not just employment, but also multiple avenues of how you contribute to society or use your skills, right? That's simply just what it is. And luckily, we live in a world where we have so many different platforms where we can have these titles, right? So there has never been a single better moment in human history to have multiple careers, I promise you. That's how people are moving through this world at the moment. Now, you might say to me, so are these multiple income streams? They can be, but again, I'll be the first person to say, I do not believe that to survive in 2024, we need to have multiple jobs to make money. Absolutely not. I do not stand for that. So at no point am I going to say, this is a way for you to make lots of money and multiple jobs because that's what you need to do. I am capitalist, but not that much, right? So this is not about that. Again, this is a way to think. This is a way to think about a long-term career for yourself. What do you want to do? In your wildest dream, what are you doing, right? And how do you get to that point from where you are today? I assume most of you are students. Is there somebody here who's not currently a student? Fantastic. Are you graduates? Love it, absolutely love it. At each stage, there is genuinely something that you can pull out from within you and market it. That's what I'm here to talk about. We go to the next one. I covered this a little bit, but I love starting out with this because I don't want anybody to say to me, like, Ritu, you wasted 40 minutes of my time. So let me just explain this, right? This is a disclaimer. I truly believe in the concept of proximity of inspiration. What this means is, of course, we read about some amazing people in books, we watch their interviews, we get inspired by people all the time. If anything, the world is pushing inspiration on you constantly. You can be as successful as X, and you can be as successful as Y. But I have felt this, I still feel this, that I get so inspired by somebody, but I have no way of accessing them, no way of touching them, no way of approaching them. Right? I'm getting a blueprint of how do you think, what do you do? So proximity of inspiration for me is when you learn from people closer to your career stage, your age. You know, maybe they look like you, they move like you, they talk like you, right? That's really important. So that's what proximity of inspiration is. When we look at people way far ahead of our career or our circumstances, that's aspiration. But inspiration is something that you should be able to message them. You should be able to talk to them. You should be able to just find out the next thing in your career, in your journey, right? So just wanted to put that out there. So I'm not that person, but I'm definitely somebody who's maybe 5 years ahead of your career journey at the moment. So the next part is about my portfolio career. This is a part I feel a little bit like boastful, but I just wanted to tell you about all the different things I do. So I obviously have my day job. I am a 9-to-5 girly. That's just who I am. Love my 9 to 5. I love knowing that I'm going to get paid. Absolutely love it. I think I'm somebody who loves side hustles. Have you heard of side hustles before? Right? Best time to be having a side hustle. So how did I get to my first 9 to 5 job? It's a problem. Like, honestly, as a student, I know the feeling. The first job is the hardest, and I have to agree that for me to get my foot in the door was probably the hardest thing I've done in my career so far. Oh, there's some seats here, guys, if you want to. Oh, great. We'll welcome them first. And then, for me to find that first job, I switched careers, actually. So I did journalism in school. Love it. Probably still is my passion. Unfortunately, by the time I finished my 3 years, I did lots of internships. I actually got my dream job, which was at the BBC. I was an intern for like 2 months, and I was an intern at Panorama, a show I've grown up watching. Absolutely, like for me, it was like I've made it. I don't need anything else. That's my dream job. I've got it. I don't need to do anything else. Unfortunately, it took me getting that job to realize that maybe that's not everything I want. Maybe there's more that I need for my career. But I'm not going to lie, immigration was a big part of this. The BBC said to me that they couldn't sponsor my visa. And I was like, if you can't do it, maybe nobody can in journalism. And it was time to think of a new way. And I'm going to be super honest about that because if you're an international student, I know the stress that immigration and visa has in today's day and age. We do live in a slightly painful world when it comes to borders and countries and geopolitical, all of that, right? So I'm not going to lie, that was the reason I switched my careers entirely. I decided which industry has a lot of money and they're paying for visas. That's it. It was as simple as that. So I started going after tech, law, and finance. Crazy, right? Nothing in common. I was like, I want to try it. And I literally went to every inside day there is. So inside days are days that really big companies have where you can come and experience what working with them is like, what a grad scheme could look like, etc. So I tried finance, tried law, tech felt like the best fit. So by year 2 and year 3, I was trying to make some small pivots towards tech. So for example, I was picking up tech journalism projects, working for startups, it's like social media, something like that. So internships and my part-time jobs played a huge role in me figuring out that I do want to change my career, but that I feel confident in changing my career. So right out of uni, just before I graduated, I did find myself my first grad job, and that was great. And it was like a consultancy in tech. And when I joined the consultancy, I quickly realized project management was my thing, right? I could bring a lot of my skills as a journalist to tech and actually be a bit different, right, than maybe anybody else who's probably just gone to university, did computer science. I just felt like I had a different way of looking at things. And this was really important for me because I think I accepted the fact that I'm going to feel different for a very long time, right? So when I walk into a meeting room, I do have to sometimes prepare twice as hard as somebody who's probably studied this at university. And that's fine, I've accepted that for myself. But it did teach me something else. It taught me that I could learn anything. Like anything I put my mind to, I could learn it. And it was great. It was great to have this confirmation for myself at like around 21, I would say. Right? And that's when I joined a community, and this is going to be a theme further down in our talk. A community is really important to show you things that you're not going to find by yourself. So I joined a community called Tech Up Women. It was a little bit like a coding boot camp, because obviously I can't code. So I joined the boot camp, met lots of women actually who were like me and thought like me and probably were trying to get into technology. So I really just made a bunch of friends who were going through something very similar. Because you can imagine, all my other friends were probably still like doing journalism or media, right? So I suddenly was in a brand new space for myself, uncharted really. But it's there that I discovered the concept of public speaking, which is why I'm here today. Love public speaking. As a journalist, it's within me. In fact, it was a great way for me to stay connected with the journalist inside me. Because journalism wasn't paying my bills anymore, but journalism still is what runs, let's say, runs within my veins, and I feel the best when I'm doing this. So I quickly realized that public speaking is maybe something I could start trying out. And my sell as a public speaker is that, I am just starting out my career quite early. I always talk about how I broke into technology, how I switched careers, and my thing at the moment is portfolio careers, talking about how I built this within the first 5 years of my career. That was great. Public speaking meant that I could have a side hustle, so I have a small side business, where essentially I offer my services as a speaker, a facilitator, or sometimes like a workshop trainer, right? So companies can basically hire me to speak at their events. So this could be like an International Women's Day, or it could be, like an employee resource group event. So basically it could be women in tech, it could be gender equity groups, etc. So they hire me. I charge them a fee for, say, an hour's worth of talk or whatever it is that they want me to do. But it's great because they literally pay me for telling my story. Isn't that great? Like, it's a quick way to make a buck, but also it's a great way for me to use these journalism skills that, I felt like I was leaving it behind, if I'm being honest. When I made that career switch, I was a bit sad. I felt like I failed as a journalist. Is that why I'm leaving? But now I feel a little bit more aligned within myself, right? So this is definitely something, I think I constantly run behind things that make me feel aligned with myself, with my inner self. So that's how public speaking happened. As I was becoming a public speaker, luckily through my network, I met all these amazing people who had these multiple job titles. And I was like, how do I get myself how do I get myself different job titles? And the one that always stuck out to me was non-executive director, or a trustee, or board of directors. I thought, and maybe some of you still maybe think this, that you get on a board of directors after you're so senior that you can't be a CEO anymore. That's just what I thought. I thought that's the moment you enter a board and you take on these board responsibilities. Turns out I was wrong. Everything, honestly, look around you, if there's an organization, it probably has a board. So a school has a board, right? And these are non-executive people, meaning this is somebody's day job, obviously, but you need people who are not operators. They don't actually manage operations, but they're there to guide you. A lot of the time this is voluntary. It definitely is voluntary when you're starting out, but you can literally get on a board for a cricket club, a little league, like local ballet class. Your local representative probably needs an advisory board. a university needs an advisory board. I sit on 2 for the University of Westminster. So I thought, so you're telling me I could be on a board and I could be learning about HR, compliance, governance, things my current job would not let me do, right? Because Deliveroo is a big company. I'm not getting there anytime soon. They don't care what I think about the direction that Deliveroo is going in. But when I joined a charity, and I've had 3 different board positions, so I sit on 3 charities. One of them is actually quite big, and we fund local biodiversity and community projects. I love that. I just love being able to do that and see that they care about what I think. And actually, I'm actually able to write checks. And we write about £5 million worth of checks, and that's a big number. And like this weekend, actually, I was at one of the projects that we funded, and it was a weightlifting club in a local community where kids do not have access to physical health and well-being facilities. I mean, I cried, to be honest. It was just great. So that's like a big part of that. Social mobility is really close to me. I really believe that people should be allowed to do whatever they want to, no matter where they come from, what type of education they can afford, what access life has given them to facilities. People should just be allowed to do what they want to do. So I sit on some social mobility charities, and then finally I sit on some employment charities, employment charities, but also like university boards. So for University of Westminster, I sit on the Employment Advisory Board, which is great because I love employment, I love careers, why not? So the board careers was a huge unlock for me. Now at this point I've ranted a little bit, right, and you're just hearing about so many different things, but I'll tell you a few more and then I'll stop. I really, really like the idea of money changing the world, right? So I am also an angel investor, love it. I wish I could be writing bigger checks, but I don't have that much money yet. But I go to every angel investment event there is. I just turn up. Honestly, nobody stops you. And you're just there to listen, right? And you're just taking all of this in. And in my head, the reason I go to these angel investment events and VC events is one day I'm going to be a founder myself. So why not figure out right now what these people are funding, what are they thinking, and when they give you money, what do they want you to do with the money? So I'm reverse engineering this basically. And I love it. It's honestly a great way to scratch my brain constantly because it baffles me. And we can talk about VC at some other point. So that's been a new unlock. I love social media. I wish I could do more of it, and I constantly want to be a social media content creator, but I struggle with it a little bit, but I have it. It's there. Like, I'm not joking, I've been paid to make a video. Don't ask me why, I didn't ask them why. Why not? You're giving me money, I'll take it, right? So social media is a big part of that. I'm a true Gen Z. Some of you might be Gen Zs here. Believe in it, love it, easy way to make money, I'm there, right? So social media is a big part of that. And then finally, something that I am trying to do more of is I want to become a coach. My friends have told me that they love talking to me. Apparently I'm like, I have some kind of wisdom and they connect with me and they like what I'm saying. It takes really long to become a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So I was like, that's a no. But it's much quicker to become a life coach or like a career coach. Much cheaper, much easier. So that's my latest thing that I'm chasing. And believe it or not, it all does coexist. So somebody might ask me, how do you manage this? My manager asks me all the time. And I just tell him, when you really want to do something, you can. Unfortunately, going to my job doesn't get me out of bed every morning. Unfortunately. It's a shame. I don't know why. It does, because money. But at the same time, I just need more. That's just who I am, right? Like, I have a purpose. I want to be doing all of these things as soon as possible. But really, I am somebody who thinks very logically, I think. And I tell myself, I want to figure out these things early. Now. And I promise you, I thought like this when I was a student. When I was a student, and if you're a student, this is the best time of your life. Because you have this little card that says, I'm a student, I want to learn everything. Unfortunately, the more you get into your career, you get comfortable, life comes along, there's so many things that you have to deal with. Unfortunately, career is not the only thing you can do at any given point of time, and sometimes life doesn't give you the opportunity to do so, right? So when you do have the time, for me, in my head, this is the time to take risks. It's the time to try absolutely everything. I genuinely learn more about myself by doing things that I don't like than doing things that I like. And this is the only thing I want you to take away from my talk today. You know, we go to university, we pick a subject, we're like, I think I like that, and you do it. And then you get into there's a concept of career ladder, right? Society constantly reminds you, there's a career ladder, there's a logical next step to everything that you do. I don't believe in that. I'm definitely somebody who doesn't learn that way. I have to try something, then I go, I don't like it. That's much better, because at least I know I don't have to do that. But when I like things, I love them. I have a new project every day. I get obsessed with something new every day. And it is something that our generation has to deal with. Like, honestly, every other day I'll watch a new reel and I'll be like, oh my God, that is so great. Should I be doing that with my life? And that's painful. I relate with the pain that people go through where there's just so many distractions. So what feels comfortable is to do a degree, to pick that ladder and then keep going after that ladder because it makes sense. But that's where we sometimes get lost, and I think that's where we get unhappy. I think happiness is a big part of everything I do. Like, it has to bring you joy. So, and I also think that if you love something and you make it a job, you'll hate it. I'm sorry. If you love dancing, I love dancing, but if somebody told me at 8 a.m., be at the dance studio, raise money for your dance studio, right? Write a few reports about it, send me presentations, I will hate dancing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you agree with this. Some of you may not. But I don't. Like, that does not get me going. So the way I have structured my portfolio career is I have a 9 to 5. I love the structure. I love the stability that brings for me. And then I optimize the rest of my time to do all these other things that I love. And I start and stop all the time, by the way. It's not humanly, physically possible to do all of this all the time. It's a start and a stop. It's a start and a stop. In fact, last night I was having dinner with my friend who's also here. And I was literally telling her, there's so much going on right now. Like, I hate it. Like, who told me to be on a board? I'm currently in a very difficult situation with one of my boards where we're making huge changes. And somehow, I'm like the leader of it. I don't know how it happened. But I was really hating on myself last night. I was like, oh, I wish I could stop it. Then I did. This morning I woke up. I gave myself 2 hours to work on that board. And I stopped it. Like, that's it. I told them I'm going to be unreachable for the rest of the day. And obviously I'm here today, right? So this time is for this. Time boxing, starting and stopping, and being very honest with myself about what I can and can't do is what drives my portfolio career. Sorry, that felt like a bit of a rant. Now let's move on to you and how you can make that happen for yourself. Voice and visibility. This drives everything. You will probably never feel like, like going that extra mile or doing that thing that you have to do after your job, your studies, unless you find that voice and visibility within yourself. Right? Like there's got to be that little thing in your head that's going, more of this. This is my voice. Like what I have to say matters and other people just need to know. And as soon as you find that voice, I promise you, it drives you. It constantly keeps driving you. So finding that purpose is really important, right? Like at the start I said my purpose was careers and obsession with careers for everybody and fair and equal careers for everybody, right? And that just gets me going. Every time I think of something, I'm like, how does this contribute to my purpose? And then decisions become easy, actually. To decide to spend my time becomes much easier. Visibility. This is the one that's a bigger problem. Because voice is easy. We all have experiences that drive us to be who we are. But visibility is when others can see that in you. Because unless they can see it in you, it doesn't really matter, right? Because you can't just convince yourself. You have to convince other people, unfortunately. We're humans and we have to work with other people. I don't always like it, but that's just the reality. And then if you're trying to make money, often means you're selling something. And people will never pay for something that they can't see. Right? And a lot of people think of visibility as, oh, so do you mean a social media page, or like I hire a marketing team when I build my company and they'll manage visibility? No, it's more than that. Visibility is learning to talk about your achievements in a way that you can show it to people, but without them thinking that you're being boastful. Actually, I don't care what they think. But what I do mean is that you need to learn to be able to talk about yourself. And LinkedIn, my best friend, does that. I post everything on LinkedIn. Literally. And you know what my favorite thing about LinkedIn is? I'm not forcing it on you. It might appear on your screen. You might choose to scroll through it. You don't have to interact with it. But I'm putting it out there. Because the right person will find it, the algorithm helps, and it gets me that visibility. And I learn to talk about myself, you know? Like, I'm doing this talk, I'm going to go home today and I'm going to post it. Right? When I was a student, I submitted my thesis, I posted it. They don't care. Nobody cares. I do. And if somebody ever, and this happens, right, when I do one of these talks, some of you might find me on LinkedIn today and you might scroll through. That's what I want. I want you to find a way to learn about me without me having to tell you constantly. Right? And why should we not use social media for just that? I truly believe that if you walk into a room, you can be telling people about yourself. Easy. But if you're not in that room and you want others to be talking about you, that's when that visibility starts to matter. Because you condition people. Over time, you condition people to think Rituja equals to loves careers. If they think about careers and how cool is a portfolio career, they think of me, maybe. Right? Some of you might, for the next 3 days, associate me with portfolio careers. And you kind of have to put that out there, that visibility, so that conditioning starts happening. Maybe move on to the next one, Sonal. Activity, my favorite part. I'm not going to ask you questions, so feel free, but can you Google yourself right now? Some of you might have done it, and if you haven't, it's totally fine. You don't have to tell me. Once you've done that, you don't have to talk to me, but just ask these 3 questions to yourself, right? How did that make you feel? Did you expect that to be your digital footprint? All kinds of things turn up, honestly. Unless you train Google, it just sends everything out. And then finally, if you don't like what you see, what would you want it to see? And then, so what do you put out there in the internet, so the internet tells you that back? Right? When I Google myself, I now get my LinkedIn #1, because I've put a lot of work to make it do that. You see my Instagram, then you probably see like a YouTube video here and there. Then you see lots of articles that I've written. You see me on other people's pages. You probably see my charities that I work with. And then finally, hopefully, you see my website. I need to work on that a bit more. But there is a way to think about this, right? And that's called personal brand. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that word. It's very hip in 2023, 4. Everybody's talking about personal brand. It's true. And I genuinely think that your personal brand is increasingly your digital brand. Because that's how people find people now. It's natural first instinct that you have. You know, people, like, say you're trying to stalk somebody. Happens to all of us. People might look at Instagram. I don't. I go to LinkedIn immediately. And I can find out everything about them. LinkedIn is the best search engine when it comes to human beings. Because you're in university right now, or you've been, right? And there was a class about LinkedIn, right? I mean, as a journalist, they made us like create a page in the first week there or something. And I had one, obviously, right? Because that's who I am. And that's okay. Like, become comfortable with talking about yourself. You're ambitious, you've got to be. Right? If you want something, you have to go after it. You can't build in silence. I mean, you can, and some people love that. But building in silence in today's day and age is difficult. Especially if you're trying to build a portfolio career. So we'll move on from that. This is it, right? And this is what I think I'm trying to hone in, is that what do people say about you when you're not in the room? That's when real connections happen. right? People need to be able to recommend you, put you forward, your mentors, your sponsors. They need to know the right things about you so they can go out there and share that about you and get you those opportunities. Almost all of my opportunities, because I do not actively market my side hustle, which is my public speaking, all of them come from word of mouth only. Either they see me speak at an event and they say, come speak at my company, or they see me speak somewhere and they're like, oh, why don't you come train my board? And that's just how it's been flowing. Or a lot of it happens on LinkedIn, right? Like they say, oh, I spoke at Westminster about portfolio careers. Somebody will be like, I've been thinking about that actually. Could you do it? And the one thing you have to know about work culture, corporate culture, predominantly, is that nobody cares about you. I'm not lying. It's unfortunate. And the reason is because they're caring about themselves. They have to. That's just how the world moves. So when nobody cares about you, the good thing about that is that they also then don't get too judgmental about you. They really like, when people want you to do something, they're not looking into everything. When you're a grad, they are, because they're looking at your CV and yada, yada, yada. But in general, if you say I can do something, they'll say, come do it for me, if that's what they want. They really don't go that deep about something. They just take you for your word. I mean, the amount of times I've been in a room as somebody who's a young adult, I used to think adults knew everything. Like they're running the world, they know what they're doing. Oh my God, I've been in rooms with CEOs sometimes, and I'll just be like, you don't know what you're doing? Like, you're just figuring this out, and like, nobody's in charge? I hate finding out that nobody's in charge. It's really painful. I'm a bit of like personality type A. I just love having control over things, and realizing that nobody did was a difficult realization. We'll move on. So, you might ask me why, and if you go to the next one, this is why. Your career is not a ladder. Your career is not a job. According to me, this is important, it's my opinion, your career is a vehicle for self-expression. At least it should be. Right? Because, honestly, it can't just be this. It can't just be you become a student, you graduate to university, hopefully, if you're privileged and you have the means to do so, then you go to work and you have a job and then you, move on with life, like have some fun, have some friends, create a family. Do you get bored at some point? Like what happens? I don't know. But for me, a career is your life's work, right? Your legacy doesn't have to be this huge company you create, and this is my legacy. And your legacy doesn't have to be like offspring. For me, legacy can just be your collective life's work. And as long as it's on LinkedIn, I don't need much more. So you don't have to write about a book about it. Like, don't think about the big things. Think about the small things, right? Look at yourself and go, what am I here to do? And every day when I make a move, am I getting closer to that? So again, the second thing I want you to take away from today, if there's only two things you can take, is just this. Just want you to start thinking about your career a bit differently. I think nobody told me that growing up. And then I think I figured out at some point when I saw some people who were very happy with their careers, and the one thing they had in common is they were volunteering their time, they had mentors, they felt like they belonged, and then finally they just had a purpose, and they were just moving closer towards it. It was never the people who were CEOs or very successful or had a lot of money. It didn't feel like happy. Happy felt like something else, and I think that's what happy feels like. Move on. If you ever think, why should I do this, right? Is this actually as well, right? Role models and allyship. You are a role model. I'm not asking you to find one. I think you are one. Because you never know who's looking at you. You never know who's taking something away from you, your story, because all our stories are really, really unique. Right? So for me, again, portfolio career or being visible or having a voice is a little bit about being that role model for the people who come after you. Because we need to hold those doors open for everybody else. I'm sure you've probably come across the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion recently. Again, very, very something everybody's talking about, very big in corporate culture. But really, that's how it happens, right? Because there's something about your story that connects with the next person. And for me, actually, coming back to university is a big part of that. It's like giving back to me 5 years ago, right? And so I keep coming back to the university, and it just feels like a really good circle, and it feels, to be honest with you, a bit like I'm doing something about this world that I don't really like sometimes. I'll move on, I won't go through all the points. I love this, actually. How many of you maybe are Gen Zs today? Yeah, me too. Love it, love it. There's a concept called creative economy. It basically says that what you create makes you money, equal to economy. So people are now, on social media at least, the commodity as such. So you're selling your face, you're selling the way you talk, or the comedy or the videos you create, right? And it's a very big thing, and so many people are still so skeptical. Like, no, you can't make money on internet. Lies. Absolute lies. That you can't become an influencer. Again, absolute lies. It's literally an algorithm, and you can hack it. Literally post every day, post like a blank picture, and it works. I'm not joking, it's real. Like, has anybody seen this new trend where somebody says, I will like walk 1 centimeter for every new follower I get? It works. Has anybody seen the London Tube girl? Yeah. It's a thing. And you know what's unique about that? That she felt lovely standing in the middle of the tube and taking lots of videos of herself. Honestly, a nightmare for me. And that's guts. And my mother's like, no, that can't be real. That's not how you make money. Mom, you're lying to me. You've been lying to me. Somebody lied to your generation. I'm sorry. I can't do that, but she can, and she deserves to get paid every modeling contract there is out there in the world. Let her go for it. So if you ever, unfortunately, and I've done this, looked at like social media and gone, nah, that can't be real. They have pretty privilege, they have X and they have Y. I promise you it's a lot of work, right? You can literally learn social media like you do a degree to learn engineering or you do a degree to learn medicine. You can. Genuinely, you can break down social media like a process, and those people have done it, they've hacked it, so they deserve to be paid for it. Now see, this is where the little bit of the social side of me comes out. I genuinely believe people should be able to make money out of whatever they want to do in life. And we can never be gatekeepers against that. So creative economy, for me, is a great example of portfolio career. I'm not here to recruit you to become a creator, but if that's something you want to do, honestly, go for it. I wish I could tell myself, and I don't every day, I know the value of this, and yet I can't do it because it's difficult. And I really love talking about the fact that being consistent on social media, creating something that's unique, that's a product, and it is difficult. But if you wanted to do it, do it. We'll move on. So now finally how, this is where I get hopefully a bit more technical, hopefully there are some things you can take away and start doing. The first one is mentoring. Yes. Again, a huge cheat code for myself. So if somebody says to me, say a new word or a new career, right? I'm at a point in my life where I don't Google it. I go to people. And I make them my mentor. That's it. I learn better when a human being tells me something. So mentoring was introduced to me while I was at university. Someone can tell you all about everything that the university offers. I mean, I experimented with the university to the point that I think everybody at the university probably knows me because I used their service at some point. But I was taught mentoring at the university. I was a huge fan of it. I love that somebody spending time to talk to me about themselves. So it's not like, you're not asking for too much, you're not asking for a job, but they're just there, they're talking to you, and I can take whatever I want and I can leave everything else. But I love that. I love that this lovely human being has chosen to spend their time with me. When it comes to mentoring, I promise you this, people love talking about themselves. Give them a compliment and they love it. And why shouldn't they, right? Why shouldn't they have the opportunity to share their wisdom with the next generation or the person who comes after them? If you ever wanted to approach somebody, do it. Start with a compliment. I promise you they'll go for it. At first, my mentors came from programs like at the university, when I was matched with somebody, depending on some of the things I wanted. But slowly that has changed. Now I get mentors from messaging somebody on LinkedIn and being like, you did this thing, it was amazing. I want to learn from you. Would it be okay for me to set some time with you and let's start doing it? And now I've made the switch. I'm now a mentor, which hopefully I can make the switch to being a coach. When you become a coach, that's when people start paying you. Mentoring is not about money. And I promise you, if there is something you want to do in life, a lot of it will be unpaid at first. And that's okay. That's how you learn, that's how you try things out, that's how you learn things about yourself. So it's when I started mentoring people, I realized I'd actually be a really good coach. And it's something I should get qualified for and go after. So mentoring, again, a cheat code. How many of you here have mentors? Yeah, love that, love that. I would love to see the hands go up. So again, at the end of today, feel free to talk to me, but please talk to Sonal. How to sign up? We were just talking and the applications are still open. If there is a free resource, go for it. Because you do not know how expensive things get. Hiring a business coach is like paying £1,200 an hour. I'm not joking. So when you're a student, why not take it for free? Just go for it. Ask for people's time. They would love to help you. The only thing, as a mentor, I can say this, the only thing you want in return is genuine interest. In my career, in what I do, or the industry that I'm in, just show genuine interest, and people will literally bend over backwards for you. Personal brand, I think I've harped about this a lot, so I won't go into too many details. I literally have talks that I sell for money that's literally around personal brand. I talk through how to optimize your LinkedIn, I talk through how to optimize your Instagram. I even go to the levels of how do you set up your SoundCloud if you do audio-based messaging. Crazy. Again, very technical, can get as technical as, you can be as technical and as money-minded about it as you'd like, or you could just do it as a practice, as a second habit. And I would encourage you to start thinking about it as a second habit. You're at university, right? You're attending this talk, go post about it. Why not? Right? You finished your university or you finished a module, you love that module, just write about it. Somebody who maybe wants to come and get a degree at University of Westminster finds your post and reads it. That's enough, guys. That's it. That's how you start. Right? So personal brand, Google it, learn more about it. I'm happy to answer as many questions as needed. It's only when I started pouring myself into my personal brand that I started actually getting business leads, which have now converted to actual income streams. Right? So obviously I'm not telling you the income stream, but I am telling you that this is how you start and this is how you get there. Networking. This is the one thing I never have to sell. We all know connections around this world, right? I know somebody who knows somebody, and you talk to some people, and this happens a lot, especially if you come from a privileged background, you always know somebody who does that. But what happens when you don't always know somebody who does something? That's when you actively network. You insert yourself in groups, in events, where you literally put yourself in a position where other people are doing something else that you are not currently doing, and you just listen to them. I go to networking events alone all the time. I now actually have friends like in the work world, but I still don't. I love going to them alone. Because that's when it's like authentic, it's real, Like you can actually have some open conversations, you can approach somebody. My favorite thing about networking is that they are there for the same reason. So it doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like, oh, so what do you do with your life? Can you tell me a bit more? They are there for the exact same reason, so you already have something in common. London is the best city for networking. I was in Dubai last week, the week before, and I was trying to find some networking events and I couldn't find them. I was so sad. But I was like, oh, that's a business idea. I should start a networking thing in Dubai. I'm digressing. But London is, according to me, the best city for networking. Be that for finance, be that for tech, be that for literally being a social media creator. Again, if there's something that interests you and you want to ask me after today's event on how, if I know of a community or a network, I'd be more than happy to put you onto some of these. All you have to do is sign up to their newsletter. They will tell you there's a free event or maybe a small ticket, something along the lines in this private club or this library, and just turn up. It feels awkward, it feels out of your comfort zone, but that's the way to network. To start from scratch every time you go into an event. Volunteering, my favorite, my absolute favorite. If you want somebody to pay you to do something, start by volunteering. One, so you can try it out for yourself. Is it for you? Is it not for you? But then two, you can learn for free for some time, right? And then eventually, the more effort you put into it, maybe that's when you start thinking about making it a thing. Now, I can imagine that if I say volunteering, the thing that's coming to your mind is doing good for the environment or good for people, right? And that is volunteering. Amazing. But you can volunteer for other things, right? So, for example, I've been a volunteer for, say, the environment a lot, and then I decided to turn that into a board career, right? But it started with volunteering. I realized that while volunteering. And now I sit on an environmental board. It's called Veolia Environmental Trust, which is Veolia, they're like a waste management company, and they are like a Fortune 500 company, right? So I love that. I love, like, you and I could sit down and I could draw you like a business plan of how I started with volunteering, but it converted into this huge thing now that, like, I hope I can do for the rest of my life. And, like, literally touching money to put into things I love. And I mean, honestly, it is a great feeling. So volunteering is the way to sometimes get your foot in the door. Now, this does not mean condone. I mean, I do not condone unpaid internships. Absolutely no. If somebody else makes money off the work that you're doing, then I'm against it. But I've done them, not gonna lie. Because you just have to, right, sometimes. But I have now understood that sometimes when I'm doing things and it feels like on a voluntary basis, I can't calculate the economic value of it for myself. So, like, for example, I can tell you that I started with volunteering, became a board. I still don't get paid to be a board member because I'm non-exec, but someday that's going to turn into a board, like a board position that's paid. And director fees are amazing because you get paid to just have the title. You have to go to 4 meetings a year. They pay you because you've built credibility and you've built a name that just having you on the board brings them trust from end-paying customers, right? So just in a moment, I was able to walk you through from going from a volunteer to a thing that's going to pay me, and hopefully pay me at a time when I no longer have to work. Like board careers, my retirement plan. Absolutely. I see myself being really old but not being able to do something, but being like the really wise one that, like looks a little bit like Succession, but much softer and much nicer, because why not? That's me. I was talking about this all this while. I love being on a board. Again, one of the things I tell you to do today is to get on a board, and how you start is start looking local. Don't immediately be like, oh, I'm going to sit on this amazing, FTSE 250 board. You get there, but you start by doing something smaller. Because every board functions the same way. It's about people, right? It's about keeping an organization together. It's about helping those who are on ground, like delivering a service. right? But you learn everything. Like for me, being on a board, I've learned about things like HR, which I obviously don't do in my real job because I'm a project manager at Deliveroo. I would never do HR, right? But I suddenly start to understand how my manager works or how their manager works. I start to get these little things that genuinely feel like cheat codes. And sometimes I'll be talking to somebody at work and I feel like I know more. And all of this because I gave my time to a board and they taught me about actual business functions. Policy, governance, how to manage a team of people, how to create strategies. Unfortunately, I'm not writing like Deliveroo's 10-year plan at the moment, but I am writing my charity's 10-year plan. And the concepts remain the same. And if you're in the UK, charities here are highly, highly regulated. So you start to learn this element of like how to work with an authoritative body, you report into the charity commission, XYZ. But hopefully I've tried to show you that there is, again, an economic value attached to all of this and that it becomes a career over time, but that you can start today by getting yourself on a board. Yeah, I love this one because, like I said, if a lot of us might go down the path of 9 to 5, or even if you're going after entrepreneurship at this stage, I think learn to just be visible. There's a book that I love. It's called Fuck Being Humble. Really sorry, we're all adults, right? But this book is amazing, and this book basically talks about don't think about humility for yourself. Because nobody is giving you extra points for being humble. Right? People honestly are so busy with their own lives and like being an adult themselves that they're never looking at you from a critical point of view. They are only seeing what you show them. This was a math equation, this is all it is. They only see what you show, so show something first of all, but show the things that you want to show, right? Like if you look at my LinkedIn, I talk about a lot of the things I do, but maybe my 9 to 5 career is still at the top of it for now, but that's going to change. But what I mean to say is I control the narrative around that. I can choose to highlight one thing over the other, right? And for example, I have multiple CVs for multiple things. I have a board CV, right? I have a CV when it comes to like being a presenter for like an event or a brand or something like that. But I can choose to dial up or dial down parts of my portfolio career, which ultimately means I control how you see me. You could put me in a talk tomorrow to talk about project management, and all of this will switch immediately. Right? That's fine. These are portfolio careers. But what I mean by that is all of you here are going to remember me as a portfolio career dog. But everybody who attends my project management talk is going to remember me as a project management dog. And that is the beauty of it. And we just have to learn on how to use that to our benefit. And then finally, because a lot of us here are the students or grads, you don't have to get new skills to do any of the things I've talked about today. Literally, nothing new needs to be done. You could be a finance graduate and say you're a little bit more specific, you're a finance graduate who's probably studied economics. You can start like an Instagram page that talks about behavioral economics. I would read it, this I promise you. I love learning about new things, so you can do that, so that's a way for you to become a social content creator. You can become a volunteer and become like a treasurer for a board, right? And a board that's closer to your purpose. Could be anything. Could be like RSPCA, which is obviously animal rescue organization. Become a treasurer for that. Isn't that great? What a great combination. What a great way to bring your financial skills to a cause that you really care about. You could literally become like a money advisor, right? Or advising other people on how to manage their money. Become a day trader. Why not? That's a career. But that's the route that a financial graduate takes. Now let's switch that. Let's go for, can somebody shout a degree that they're doing or they have done and they think it's very difficult to have a portfolio career? Somebody said something?
Law.
English literature and law. let's go with English literature first, right? So I'm just going to assume a few things, apologies. Say you really like poetry, explain poetry to me. Love it. Never want to pick up a book about poetry, but we'll watch a reel about it. Absolutely. You explain like, I don't know, nothing comes like a John Keats poem to me, I'll watch it. Love it, right? So that's one way to diversify that. I think English literature can translate to, literally say that to a bored person and somebody will tell you, oh, we can really use helps with rewriting our documents. I know it sounds like there's no connection, but there is something. Something there. Again, you could be working for the RSPCA, you love animals, why not? Right? And then a final thing that I can probably think about is like tutoring or teaching, I think everybody kind of hits like 30, 35 now, where they want to learn a new skill, and I promise you, people will pay for the craziest thing. Because they just want to learn the crazy thing because it makes sense to them. So I hope that's that. Somebody said law. Law is my favorite one, to be honest, because I wanted to be a lawyer for a bit. Law is, I forget the name, the citizen advice. Join your local citizen advice. It's underfunded, it's understaffed. People need you, like get out there, join a, citizens advice tomorrow, number one. Two, again, join the board. Legal advice is, oh my God, so expensive. Especially as a charity, I know this. Having a lawyer on your board is like, you've made it. It's just the one thing that you really, really want, right? So there are two ways that you can diversify, and social media. Do anything on social media, it sells, right? So I just wanted to show you that no matter what your skill set is, there is a way to spin that. And the only person who can spin that is yourself. So it maybe starts, maybe today for some of you, but maybe some of you have been thinking about this for a long time. Just honestly gamble on yourself. Because nobody else is doing what you're doing, right? So why not take a chance? Somebody was saying this to me the other day. I was saying I really want to go back into education because you can see I'm obsessed with being a student. I love being a student. I peaked when I was a student. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been happier. Because I used to just do everything, right? And so I really want to go back to being a student for a bit. And somebody was telling me, oh, come on, baby, if you go to become a student, I want to study in the US. They were like, oh, 2 years, like in 2 years, your salary will grow. They were like, oh, you get like a 10% raise every year. They were calculating that for me, and the fact that I would have to pay for education, obviously you have to fund it. They were like adding that number to this new thing. And then finally they said to me, but you'll be X age in 2 years' time. Yeah, I'm going to be X age anyway, right? I'm just choosing to take 2 years off my, income-generating career and study. But that's something I want, right? So if age ever crosses your mind as a reason for not going after the thing that you want to go after, you are going to get older anyway. So you might as well do it now. And everything else that feels like a distraction, weigh it against your options, but if you're like me, I regret things that I don't do. I'm 26 right now, and I already have so many regrets. Oh my God. Like, I wish I was fitter. I wish I did my social media career much sooner. I wish I started that YouTube channel much sooner. It hurts. I'm like, if it hurts at 26, can I look at myself when I'm like 60, 65 and be like, I didn't do these things? I just can't live with it. So it's like a personal realization I've had. And I'm really guided by it right now, actually. If I want to do something, I just have to do it. At least so I can tell myself that I gave it a go and it didn't work out. That's much better than me saying that, I never did it. So yes, well, these are all the great things that can happen for you. Promotions at the top of the list for me. Because the minute you start, like having this attitude that you're going to be the one who does it, it really comes through actually at work. Like there are so many days people will say, oh, you seem very happy. It's because I've done something that's for me, So promotion is like a very easy thing to go after. So if anybody here wants that promotion for yourself, there's that. Everything else, salaries. I love flexibility. It's becoming a very important thing for me over time. Having side hustles, starting our own business. Career change is a big one. I love the idea that I can do something as a side hustle and I could convert it into a full-time career. So I love that. I'm always like teasing myself with like, am I going to do another career change? Because I'm constantly doing career changes. I've gone from journalism to tech, and then I was in banking for the longest, and now I'm in, I don't know, food delivery? Oh, not 100%, but I love it. It's so much fun. So career change is like a big one. It keeps me on my toes. And then I put becoming content creator at the end, but it's probably the quickest way to become rich. We'll move on to the final bit, which is, I always love leaving you with 3 things that you can do right now. The first one is update your LinkedIn. Maybe post about this amazing talk and say, we met Rituja, she was so great. I'd be very happy if you do that. The second one is, has anybody heard of I'm Remarkable? It's a free resource by Google, okay? It's a little bit like what I've been talking to you about today. It's all about self-promotion. It's free, like there are thousands of this around the world. It's like a little cult, I love it. But it's all about self-promotion, and it's like you go to this workshop and then you walk out of the workshop with a purpose, or a thesis, as they call it. So look it up, go join one. It's only 1 hour of your time, but it's amazing. Honestly, there aren't better workshops, and whenever Google puts its name against something, I've got to have it. So go try that for yourself. And then finally, get on a board. My favorite thing, I think people think I'm so much more serious as soon as they see that I'm a trustee or like I'm a board director. They just love it. They like eat it up. I love that for me. So please go join a board for yourself. And I think we ended that actually. Yeah, that's me. Tech Careers and Happiness.
Thank you. I wish when I was 26 I had the same confidence as you do. Yeah, that was amazing. I learned so much. Did you all learn a lot? Yes. Good. So now we've got some time for questions, and please raise your hand if you've got any questions. I will run over because we only have one mic, so you might have to just stand there. That's okay.
I think you can shout your question if you want.
Yeah,
let's do it.
You want to shout?
I can hear you, I think. Love it, 2, 3 questions. Can we try one if you don't mind? I want to give others a chance, and I'm hanging around for food and drinks. Yes.
So it would be like, you said you were in distress when you were a student because of visa.
Yes.
So have you thought to be like taking sponsorship
Before graduate. So I did find my job with sponsorship before I graduated. In 2018, the rules were a bit different. Obviously, there's something called a post-study work visa now. I graduated in 2018 when this was not an option. So to answer your question, yes, before I graduated, I found a job that offered sponsorship.
How long? 2 months before?
It's about 6 months before. 6 months before. Because again, I love this, and actually I realize a lot of people don't know this. In the UK, the recruitment cycle for graduate schemes. And graduate schemes are the best way to get a visa. So if you are an international student, go for the graduate schemes. Graduate schemes open their applications in October. Think about this, right? So for example, if you're a master's student and say you came in the September cohort, so you join Westminster in September, I need you out there applying for jobs that October. Because you graduate next September, but that cycle starts that October. And how it works is you apply for a graduate scheme, they take lots of different applications, they close, and I'm not joking, they genuinely close applications in January. They start interviewing around December, and by January end, you have an offer. So just to put that in context, I graduated in July 2018, but I had my job in January. And the reason they do this is not because they're going to get you to start working in January. You only start working that September. Because they have intakes as well, like universities do. Again, graduate schemes only apply to massive, massive organizations. So there's a reason there's so much structure. right? So yes, you can be in a position where you get your sponsorship, get your job offer a few months before you graduate. And I was having this conversation and somebody said, like, don't they ask you for your grades? You can go to your registry in your university and they'll give you a transcript. And they'll predict a grade for you, and that's more than enough. They accept that. And then unless obviously something horribly goes wrong, like for example, God forbid, but you fail, then there's a whole different process to deal with that. So don't worry about it. Try to remember, if you can, that the best time to go for jobs in the UK is October. Lovely. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. What if we already graduated and we wanted to pursue such a scheme?
Definitely. So,
Just repeat the question in case.
oh yes, apologies. If you didn't hear the question, this lovely person asked me if you graduated already and you still want to go after these jobs, and it's January, so I was just thinking. Here's the thing, graduate schemes are not the only jobs, right? Graduate schemes are a good chunk of it. I liked it because there was a lot of structure. So one of the things, right, especially if you're a master's student, you're probably an experienced person. So you'd already go after experienced hires, which are like entry-level jobs or mid-level jobs, right? So they would never have a grad scheme anyway. A grad scheme is just a very structured way of thinking about it. There are always jobs. January is probably still a very good time. Where it starts to slow down a little bit in the UK is around May. Because everybody's on holiday. There's no grand reason for it, it's strange. Honestly, people love holidays and corporate people really don't care about anything else. So right now is still a good time. LinkedIn is a great way to find for jobs. Have a structure, have an Excel sheet, track everything you're doing, because data is literally everything. So job search in today's market is very much a quantity game, because obviously the economy is not doing very well. So write down, every time you apply for a job, write down, track the response they got, and keep checking your CV every time you get 20 rejections. And I know that happens because the numbers are absolutely crazy. So say with one CV you've applied, right, you got 20 rejections, check your CV. Something's not working, something's not clicking, something's not going past that CV check. Okay? Yeah, any other questions? Oh, there's loads. How are we doing for time, David?
We've got 15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay. So do you guys want to no, I think let's do questions. Sorry.
Yeah, no, first of all, I want to say thank you for the presentation, it was amazing. I definitely resonate with a lot of things that you do, and as well, I've applied some of those things already. I work with a lot of tech startups and everything, so I would like to talk to you after.
Yeah, 100%.
Proposal for you. But I was just curious, with everything that you do, how do you manage your free time? How do you not burn out and don't overload yourself?
Great question. So if anybody didn't hear that, the question was, how do you manage your free time, right? Because I talked a lot about structuring my working time. It's honestly a fine balance, and I'd be lying if I said that I manage it well. I definitely get super overloaded. And I was having this moment last evening. Again, I was literally having dinner with this friend, right? So it was, the way I think about this is you can't have it all sometimes, right? So I've kind of accepted that within myself a little bit. You can hear from my voice that I'm a very planner kind of person, like I plan everything. So waking up early has helped. Honestly, it sounds crazy, and I don't believe in those 4 a.m. club. But I wake up early just so I can do the things that I don't enjoy doing, because the minute it hits 5 o'clock, it's treat yourself time. So I don't get these things done. The things I do in the morning is, I love studying, currently preparing for my MBA. So I wake up at 6, I study, I work out. I hate working out. If you gave me an opportunity, the one thing I skip, and I will skip, is working out. It doesn't come naturally to me. But I love the feeling you get after working out. Isn't that a great feeling? But I know I can't convince myself to get there. So I have to work out in the morning. And then, time boxing is really important. I set the expectation at work with my 9 to 5 that I work 9 to 5. Right? And I'm very good at managing my time. I'm not going to lie. I'm very good at going, this needs to be done now. The next thing needs to be done next. I'm very good at prioritizing. I have a journal that really helps, just visualizing what's in my head, you know. The way I journal, and if anybody here does to-do lists, I write 3 things. If I don't take those 3 things, I can't write the next 3. That's just a rule, and I try to stick by it. And then finally, what do I do with my free time? I protect my free time like nobody's business. Because I don't do all of this shit for what? I'm here to like make money, chill, like that's what I want to do. I want to travel, I want to be spending time with my partner, like I want to catch as many flights to India as I can, because that's where I'm from, and spend lots of time with my family. Like, not for a second do I want anybody to believe that I work for work. I don't. I work for, like, my life is my life. I work as only because there's like a self-expression thing that matters to me for some reason. But you have to become very clear about like that thing in your head, you know, that things like family, things like health, they can't be compromised. They just can't. And health is a big one for me because it gets overlooked so easily, and it's the one thing that can stop you from doing absolutely everything. So, exactly, that's my answer, I think. I'm very fiercely, I protect my free time fiercely. There's no, like, weekends, no work. I don't care how much I'm working. People will just have to wait. It's the only way to run my life. And then the time that I do work, I optimize like nobody's business. I'm a project manager by job, so I really focus on making it as efficient as I can. But you will often catch me at like noon in my bathtub because I work in tech, first of all. Tech is great. Please come join tech. Life is genuinely better from a work-life balance point of view. But the reason I do that is like, you know, so I don't justify to anybody how I get my work done as long as I get my work done. So I set that expectation with people, so be that, you know, like my charities or be that like my actual manager. It is as long as you get your work done, talk to me about my work, give me feedback on my work. How I get there, none of your business. Because don't get me wrong, my employers have me on LinkedIn. So they see like I'm here doing this talk, you know, I was doing this charity stuff, I go to events all the time, so I can't lie about it. I can't live this like double life, right? So I have to be very honest at work. And this is one way of doing it, right? Being just super clear that that's what you're going after, and then when they hire you, they get hold of you. Amazing. One last question before we do networking, and then hopefully you can all still catch me. Wow, maybe I'll do 2. We'll go for you.
So I wanted to ask, so basically you were saying about like being project manager and like managing different aspects. So I'm basically finishing university this year, I'm finishing tourism business. And I really want to like try to have a portfolio, but I really don't know how to start. And I was thinking like project manager or consultancy, but I just don't know where to begin.
Yeah, great question. To be honest, I can probably give you a more personalized answer when we're talking. But I hope that you can just start the first thing, right? I go after one thing and just start there because starting is the hardest thing. So let's do that, but please catch me, let's talk more personalized. One more question. I'll go for him because he's doing it, but I'll come back to you and then we'll stop. Sorry.
I wanted to ask you, because I've started working as well, and I've got my 9 to 5, and I'm enjoying it, and same like you, it doesn't feel like enough, so I'm trying to dabble into different things. And I wanted to ask you for advice on how to take that leap forward to actually starting charging for things, because I feel like everything that I'm doing now, I do, and it's for free, because I always say, oh yeah, I want to learn, then I put myself in that situation where I'm just overworking, and I don't really get that.
Great question. I was reading, so for those who didn't get the question, how do you take that leap to start charging for things? So people have to pay to access your service. It's a difficult one, actually. I was just reading a report, it was by freelancer.com, and it was the freelancer rate card, basically. So to compare your rates against what the global averages are, right? Big fan of data, so that helps me. I'll put it this way. The day I found out that I was doing an event for free and somebody else was getting paid is the day I decided I'll start charging, right? And actually I was a bit scared because this other person, you know, they write books and they author books and they're like I love them and they're an established person. So for a minute I was like, maybe not. But then at the same time I thought, then why did they hire me? Go hire somebody who's established, right? So I must bring something to the table. Now, having said that, I have to constantly balance this thing of doing things for free because I need that exposure versus charging for things. So my rate card reads, these are the services I provide. And there's 3 things, it's like a lattice, like a X and Y, what's it called, for the axis. There you go. So this one says my services, and here it says, you're a non-profit, so I will charge you X or I'll do it for free. You're a corporate, there are sizes for that. So you have between 0 to 100 people, I'll charge you this price. If you're somebody who has more than 1,000 people, I'm charging you the highest money because you have that money. And then I'll do a lot of things for the university, for example, for free, right? Because there's a relationship there. If you approach me today as somebody who I do not know, like you wrote me a LinkedIn message and say, hey Ritu, we're doing this event, we'd love for you to be on it. What I'll do is I'll basically send you a Calendly and I'll say, let's jump on a call. What is your event? Do you pay? Right? And if a lot of people will say, no, we're not paying. Then I'll say, are people paying to attend your event? If the answer is yes, I'm not doing this for free. Because you're charging somebody to come listen to me, so where is that money going? Right? So that's another way I dwindle that out. And then finally, if you're somebody I know, so for example, you're all here, right? And say one of you goes back to your company and says, I love what Rituja did, let her come to the event. And then you come to me and say, oh, I came to your event, I really liked it. There's a connection there. I want to explore that. Because speaking is a kind of business, the same people hire you again and again. That's just how the business is, right? So with you, I will not send you my rate card. I'll say, well, let me jump on a call and I'll pitch to you. And then I'll pitch depending on everything I've heard, how big your event is, how many people are coming. And then I'll say, oh, I'm going to do like 2 calls, but I prepared for it, so that's going to cost X amount. I'm going to give you my slides. And then if they say, oh, they're doing photography, then I'll knock like £100 off. Because I'll be like, give me all those photographs. Right? Because I'm not going to pay somebody to take it. Sorry, I'm really sorry. but that's how I charge. And getting paid for what you do, just try it. If they say, no, we don't pay, then you might still accept it, But once you're confident in yourself, just do it. And then adjust your rates depending on the feedback you get. And have insurance. Insurance is really important. Last question.
Quick question.
Last question, and then we'll wrap up.
So, first, congratulations, you've done a lot of stuff.
Thank you.
And I want to ask, when you switched your career to tech, how did you present your profile to them? Because you had a different background.
Great question. So first of all, the question was, what did you do to switch to tech as a journalist? I started, like I said, taking tech journalism-based jobs. More importantly, all my projects at uni started becoming tech, naturally. Started pivoting towards it, doing a lot of research. I filled my LinkedIn with tech content. Oh, I read this really cool article. This is what I think about it. Nobody cares. But if they were to Google me or find me on LinkedIn, they'll only see tech. So in a way, they'll be trapped into thinking that I love tech, that I'm in tech. I mean, I do love tech. But there was a little bit of planning ahead. I took a lot of jobs in tech companies, but doing media stuff. At least, on your CV, it starts to read differently. And then finally, when it came to pitching, I think I focused on my transferable skills. I was very clear on it. I have an Excel doc where each skill is written down, and this is what I do in journalism, and this is how I will talk about it, so it sounds like it's tech. Again, very data-driven, but yes, to do it successfully, you do have to make those small little tweaks. And you have to literally sit down, treat it like a whole project or a whole deal, right? Because that's how you're going to do it. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure. And stay around.
Thank you. Just a few announcements. So thank you firstly for all your questions. I know you haven't all had a chance, but if you stick around for the networking, you'll get a chance to speak to Rituja. Please complete the surveys that are on your chairs. They really help us to run these events for you and make them successful for you. You can return the completed surveys to the purple table at the back of the room. So if you've really enjoyed this, the next What It Takes event is what it takes to thrive in a neurodiverse world, taking place online on Thursday, the 29th of February. And there's also, which links to this event, a What It Takes to build a personal brand on Tuesday, the 5th of March. So have a look online for those events. And then also, if you're interested in a mentor as part of your time at the university or as a graduate, then you can find the application form on the Westminster website under Career Mentoring, and the applications close on the 18th of February. And finally, I'd like to thank Rituja so much for giving up her time and speak this evening. Thank you so much. And for all of you for coming, because you are what makes these events. And please stick around for networking and refreshments. So, yeah.